I think we can all agree that this dimension in this viewport is a little hard to read. It's a little small. There's no break in the line for the dimension to sit inside. The font could be a little better. I sort of wish that I could control whether or not it would show 1/4 of an inch or not. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click in this first of all. I'm going to go to File, Document Settings, Document Preferences, and I'm going to go to Dimensions. And when I go to Dimensions, you'll see that there are these different dimension standards. So there's Architectural, ASME, BSI, DIN, all these different things, right? But screw all that. Let's make our own, custom. So you need to create a new one, and you're going to call it your name. So I'm going to call it, actually I'm going to call it my last name. Squeaker's Awesome Dimensions. Ah, it won't let me do that. Okay, Squeaker's Dimensions. Okay. And I am going to then say, I'm going to have this selected here. I'm going to say Edit. It's going to take me to this super awesome screen that looks a little overwhelming at first, but I promise you it gets better. So the linear markers, your little tick marks, are right here. There are other options. I will say that the tick mark is the most universally recognized version, and in drafting we want to try and keep things pretty specific. We've got leader line markers, right? We've got all kinds of things you can do. So you can go ahead and play with this as much or as little as you would like. Right now the text rotation is aligned. I'm going to go ahead and make it horizontal. I'm also going to choose a text style. So this is pretty important. So you can tell that there's only so many different styles for me to choose from. And so what I need to do is show you how to go in and create your own text style to use for this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, okay, okay. We're going to get out of these boxes. We're going to go to text. We're then going to go to, I just did this, format text. And then you're going to go ahead and pick what you want. I'm going to scroll all the way up here and just make it simple. I'm going to do Arial. Let's do Avenir Black. Let's just do that. You can also see the different text styles here. So try and pick something that's legible. Let's do that. And then we're going to, we can always choose the size too. So 12 point may be good, may not be. Let's go ahead and make it just a little larger. Let's say it's 16. And then what I can do is click Save. And I can say Amanda's dimension text. I say, okay. That one's not too long. So I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to go say File, Document Settings, Document Preferences, Dimensions, Custom, Squeaker's Dimensions, Edit. Change this text style to Amanda's dimension text. Marvelous. Then I'm going to look at some other things, right? So if we look on here, it's got what sort of the distance is between the dimensions and the actual object. So for instance, this one is, and sometimes this is a little hard to figure out, but you just got to spend a little time looking at it. So this is saying that the distance between the edge of the dimension and where the actual object starts is 0.625. F that noise. Let's make it like 0.25. Let's see, it's 1/4 of an inch away. It's probably maybe a little much. Maybe we'll do 0.2, see how that is. You might also, so depending on how these dimensions are working, You know, you always want a little hangover here, so that seems to be okay. We can always make that a little bigger too. So let's say 0.2. I'm gonna go back to 0.25. We're just gonna experiment a little here. I don't know what the other dimensions are in my real document. And then you also want to make sure that the text position, right, is within the line itself. And so right here, it's saying that it's above the line. We don't want that. So we're just going to go ahead and make this 0 so that it's, you know, in the line itself. Most of these you can sort of ignore potentially. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say okay. Say okay. Now you'll see that this one is still in a different dimension set. So let's go ahead and click into here. I'm going to double click. I'm going to say annotations. Okay. And now I've got this dimension line highlighted. And so it's class's dimension, but it also doesn't have it's on the textile unstyled, okay? And so what you want is this whole dimension line to not be dimension standard architectural, but it's Swigger's dimensions. And if you click on it, it should change. So bam, there we go. Now we've got it, and it is actually in between the line. It's a little easier to read than before. You know, if I were actually messing around with this, I might do a few more things. When I did this first dimension, I did it to the leader line. So let's go ahead and delete this and start all over again and see what this might be like. So one of the things I want to do is actually do it to where I would do it. So here to here. I'm going to do here. Oh no, it's still the old crappy dimensions. What do I want to do? How do I want to make sure that that becomes the dimension style I want to use? So first I'm going to delete it. Then I'm going to go up here. So whenever I select dimensions, it gives me all of these options, right? There's all kinds of different things I can do. And I encourage you to explore those a little bit. But for the dimension standard architectural right here, we don't want it to say that. We want to say Swigger's dimensions. Good. So now if I click from here to here, there we go. And so this, you can see the gap here, but maybe not as well as I might want to. Let's try it here and here. Okay, so that seems to be a comfortable distance away. I sort of know where that's pointing. Depending on the scale of the drawing, I may want to adjust that a little bit. And now I'm gonna, in the next video, I'm gonna show you sort of how to modify each individual dimension as you may need, and also give you some tips about laying these out, because they all want to be laid out in reliable distances away from the